Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. There's your demo. So, the Hartke HD25 25 watt bass guitar amp. Recently I bought a bass guitar, as many of you guys know, and of course you gotta have an amp, right? And I don't need a massive high powered amp in the studio here. And besides, it's not like I'm, going out gigging and playing on stage in front of thousands of people in parks and whatnot. Anyhow, so I'm trying to teach myself how to play right-handed bass. So, but I didn't want the 15 watt model because I kind of really didn't like it. But this one here, of course, is 25 watt. It's called the HD25, and it does have an 8-inch speaker in it. It is a combo amp. It is solid state. So, anyways, it does have a what's called a high drive paper and aluminum cone driver. Top mounted amp, of course, with volume, bass, mid, treble. It's all you need. It's a bass guitar. It's not an electric guitar, with 6 strings. But anyways, so we do have an 1/8-inch stereo auxiliary input, so you can play along with your favorite tunes on your MP3 player, drum machine, keyboards, etc. Headphone out jack as well for private listening, so you don't tick off your neighbors or your your spouse or your parents, what have you. Anyways. Perforated metal grill, of course. It's a quality built amp. It's built like a tank, Now I know somebody's going to ask, can you gig live with this thing? Well, if you mic'd it up, sure, why not? If you're on a big stage playing in front of a pile of people, you can mic any amp up, Not a big issue there. I think it'd be great for playing in situations like, cafes and churches. You're going to have lots of power, 25 watts. I mean, seriously, like, that's on the bridge on my bass, my neck. That's a lot of boom boom, and I'm only running the amp halfway up, so it gets a lot louder than that. Okay, so yeah, I think you're gonna be okay. Besides, where a bass guitar player belongs in the mix on a song anyhow, you really don't need like 500 or 600 watts playing in churches and cafes, so I don't see a problem there. Playing in your own house with the rest of your guys, having fun and whatnot in your own little rehearsal place. I think it's a great rehearsal amp too, and if you needed to, you could mic this thing up, and yes, you could play live on stage with it if you mic'd it up. That could be done. I don't think it's that huge of a deal, but I don't know for sure how well that would work in a large situation, even micing it up. Depends on how much wattage output you have through your PA, how well things are going to go for you. Anyways, so probably not recommended for that kind of purpose, but definitely cafes, churches, you have plenty of power here with 25 watts, okay? Never underestimate the throb of a bass guitar, you know what I mean? So, I got this at Long McQuaid when I bought my Gretsch bass. The amp itself, $249.99, so $250. That's actually not bad for getting into an entry-level amp to get you going, And like I said, great for in the house. It's great for in the studio in here. You're not going to blow the plaster off the wall studs by any means, but you can definitely make a lot of stuff buzz in your room like I do. So it does have. It's got some good thud to it. And you can always squeeze more boom out of it by cranking the volume up higher, cranking your bass control, your mids, break through your mix a little bit better, that sort of thing. So, where are we at with it? I would give this a 4.5 out of 5. It does have a ported front on it because it is a sealed back enclosure. They do have a ported front to give that extra boom to it, And I have had this thing full blast, and it is still clean on full blast. It's fantastic. So they've definitely done a great job. I'd never even heard of Hartke before until walking it along McQuaid, going, never heard of that brand. That's a new one. So I don't know much about the history of Hartke, but I can tell you that from my experience with this amp since I got it, I think it's a really good, viable amp. And like I said, for even the price point, it's good. But I mean, if you do want a lower powered version, They do have a 15 watt model with a 6.5-inch speaker, which, like I said, I didn't like it, for about 170 bucks. So it's kind of like, well, you know what, for not quite $100 more, you get a bigger speaker and you get an extra 10 watts of boom. It's definitely, to me, is worthwhile going to the 25 watt model, okay? And they do have these in a 50 watt, a 75 watt. They've got 1,000 watt 4x10 cabs. They've got, you know, a bass head here that puts out over 300 watts. You know, and many others. So for this video, what I'm going to do for the link is I'm just going to put the main page link to Hartke from the Long McQuaid website. So obviously I'm in Canada, Long McQuaid, but you can look them up anywhere. I mean, I'm sure you can buy these in the States, in the UK, and wherever. Okay. But I'm going to leave the main page so you can look at all the different options on the website, because not everything is in stock at my particular store. And if you are in Canada, of course, and you are not in North Bay, well, then you'd want to click on the appropriate you know, province that you're in and city, and see what, you know, make it your store for your city, whatever, or the closest city to you, because I don't live in North Bay. I live half an hour outside North Bay, so I actually have to use the North Bay store as my main one, because that's where I can get to easy enough. My next option is about 2.5 hours away from me, and then and that's going toward like Sudbury, and then going the opposite way down south. Yeah, a couple hours. So anyway, but they do have lots of choices, you know, and even different, you know, wattage heads. They've got like 1100 watts, 80 watts, all that sort of stuff. So a lot of choices there. But I think they're a really good quality amp. I've played bass off and on for years, but I've never really had a specific bass amp per se to really, you know, compare this against. I've usually just plugged either into a PA system or my own studio gear. It's just much simpler. Yeah, I think that, you know, overall I really like the amp. I think it's a great buy. Definitely great for beginners, or anybody for that matter. If you want a small practice home, even if you're a professional player and you want a small practice home at the house where you're not going to tick anybody off, I think the 25 watt model is definitely up your alley for that. And like I said, churches, bars, this thing would be great. Would definitely work as an unmiked amp in most situations, but otherwise you could amp it up if you need a little bit more, you know, go-go juice out of it. So that wouldn't be a problem either. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't advise going into like a big arena and trying to mic it up that way. It might not work quite well enough for you in that aspect, because it is a practice amp after all. So, but to each their own. Do as you wish. Try it and see if it works, and if it does, cool. If it doesn't, well, it's definitely going to have its limitations, right? Like anything else. And I think it's priced really good. For a bass amp, it's definitely priced good. I was looking at other bass amps by, you know, like Fender and a few others, and I'm not a real huge Fender fan when it comes to their amplifiers, other than they do have one tube guitar amp that is very old school, plain Jane. It's a Fender Princeton Reverb. Now that is probably the only amp I have any respect for from the Fender line of amps, period. Other than that, I couldn't be bothered with any of the others. But that one is definitely on the top of my list. But the Fender amps were also a little bit more money, and for what you were getting for the money, same money, it's kind of like, you know, the Hartke one. You know, I liked the sound better, I liked the output better, and of course the price tag, obviously, definitely way better. Anyhow, that's pretty much what I got for you. Pretty simple, quick review on this one. So if you are interested, do check out the Long McQuaid link. And even if you're not in Canada, check it anyways, because then at least you can see the full range of Hartke amps and cabs and stuff that are available for your choosing. You know, and then just go to your local dealer and pick up whatever you need, right? And away you go. Just remember, I'm in Canada, so the prices you're going to see are Canadian prices if you're not in Canada. So your US price would be definitely cheaper, obviously. Anyways, that's it. That's all. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Do stay tuned for a lot more cool stuff that we got going down. See ya.